In the ancient kingdom of Okeilu, deep in the forest of the Western Africa, the talking drums once beat a strange rhymes. Not once, but twice. That night, the moon unglow as if listening. Inside the royal palace, Queen Morenike screamed. Not in pain alone, but in destiny. She was giving birth to twins. Twins were not ordinary in Okeilu, they were sacred. When the first child emerged, the midwife smiled. A boy, they said. Strong lungs, strong arms, perfect eyes. He was named Adetola. Wealth has entered the house. Moments later, the second cry came. Softer, tiny, almost hesitant. Another boy. But this child did not open his eyes. The elders leaned closer. They waved finger. They lit palm oil lamp. Nothing. The child was blind. A silence fell over the palace. King Oba Adegbite stood frozen. The diviners were summoned before dawn. After casting cowries and speaking with the spirits older than the throne, the chief priest said, "These twins are bound by fate. One will walk with sight. One will walk with wisdom. If the blind one ever sees, blood will remember blood." The king shrieked. The blind child was named Adetayo. Joy has come. And from that day, faith began to breed quietly. Adetola grew as the kingdom expected. He learned swordplay. He rode horses. He sat beside the father's during councils. The people loved him. Adetola Omoba, Prince Tola. Adetayo, however, lived in a different world. He memorized footsteps. He learned voices. He could tell which bird sat on which tree just by sound. When others mocked him, he smiled. When others pitied him, he thanked them. When Adetola returned from training, sweating and proud, Adetayo would ask, "Brother, describe the sky today." At first, Adetola did. He spoke of cloud like cotton, of sunset like fire. But as year passes, Adetola grew tired. "You ask too many questions," he snapped one day. "You wouldn't understand even if you saw." Adetola said nothing. But that evening on that tree, he whispered to God, "If I could see just once, I would never ask again." Time passes. Oba Adegbite died. The drums beat again, but this time slowly. The kingdom mourned. The elders gathered. Tradition said the firstborn son will inherit the throne, and that will be Adetola. But traditions also said a king must be holy in spirit. And some whispered, "What if the blind one is wiser?" The elders delayed the coronations. Adetola noticed, and for the first time in his life, fear entered his chest. One evening, restless and burdened, Adetola walked alone beyond the palace wall. He did not know where he was going. He followed his heart. At a dusty crossroad, he held coughing. An old woman sat on the ground, clothes torn, eye mingled with age. "My son," she said, "I have not eaten in 2 days." Tayo reached into his pouch. It was all the money he had, gifted by the palace servant out of pity. He gave everything. "I am blind," he said softly, "but I hope this will help." The old woman laughed. A laugh too strong for someone starving. She stood, and for the first time, Tayo felt fear. The old woman touches his eye, and the world exploded into light. Color, shapes, and faces. Adetayo screamed. When he opened his eyes fully, the old woman was gone. Only a calabash remained, and inside it, there was a mirror. For the first time, Adetayo saw himself, and he wept. Adetayo returned to the palace in silence. He watched servants gossip. He saw greed in the elder eyes. He noticed how Tola avoided him. Sight did not bring peace, it brought truth. When the elders learned from his miracle, the kingdom erupted. Someone shouted, "The God has spoken! The God has chosen him!" Others warned, "The prophecy." Adetola confronted his brother under the moonlight. "So, He said coldly. You can see now? Yes, Tayo replied. And you want my throne? I want what is right, Adetayo said. Still met still that night. Twins against twins. Blood against blood. The prophecy has awakened. The brothers fought in the palace courtyard. Adetola trained, fierce, and angry, while Adetayo was calm, precise, guided by the instincts shaped by blindness. At the final strike, Adetayo disarmed Adetola. The sword fell. Silence. Adetola neck shaking. Do it, he whispered. Take everything. Adetola looked at him, and for the first time, he truly saw his brother, not as a rival, but as a frightening boy rise to rule. Adetayo dropped the sword. At dawn, Adetayo stood before the elders, and he said, I will not take this throne, he said. Gaps filled the hall. He continued, a king must sit beyond the heights. I have already lived that life. He returned to Adetola, rule, but rule with wisdom. All the gods will remember. Adetola waits. He was crowned the king that day. But the kingdom changed. Adetayo left the palace. Some says he became a healer. Others says he returned to the crossroad. But elders still tell the story to children. Not all who see are wise, and not all who are blind are lost. And so the kingdom learned that destiny is not what eyes can see, but what heart is brave enough to choose.